Good morning, everybody. Pastor Stitch, Narrow Path Christian Church, BC, Bay City, Michigan. Welcome to the Biker Devotional. Today is January 6th, 2025. We are looking at Proverbs chapter 6, and we're going to look at verse 1 through 5 today. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 1 through 5, and it says this: My son, if you put up security for your neighbor, or entered into an agreement with a stranger, you have been trapped by the words of your lips, ensnared by the words of your mouth. Do this then, my son, and free yourself, for you have put yourself in your neighbor's power. Go humble yourself and plead with your neighbor. Don't give sleep to your eyes or slumber to your eyelids. Escape like a gazelle from a hunter, like a bird from a fowler's trap. It literally comes down to the idea that when you go into debt, borrow money, put yourself into a position where you find that you are in debt, whether it's financially or something with someone else, you owe a favor, whatever it is, you are then controlled by that person. Literally, you become their slave. Now, nobody talks about it that way today, but that's what it is. And Solomon is reminding his sons that that is a position of lack, not a position of power. Remember, Solomon is talking to his sons who are heirs to the kingdom. They are princes. They are ruling class. And he's saying, if you go into debt, you will be obliged to them. Now, is it important that sometimes we have to use resources that are available to us that we don't necessarily have? Sometimes. But don't live there. Get yourself out of it as fast as you can. You know, I've borrowed money to buy a car. I've borrowed money to buy a house. I didn't have it to handle those things. But the reality is, when you owe on a house or a car and you don't make that payment, you have to worry about whether it's yours or not. You're always obligated to someone else to meet their rules, their criteria. I don't know about you guys, but I have a credit card that I use when I travel and things like that. And it's crazy because the credit card company can change the rules on me at any given moment. If they wanted to, they could even cancel that line of credit. Even though I make my payment every month and I do what I need to do, if they wanted to, for whatever reason they chose, they could cancel that line of payment, that line of credit. Now, having a line of credit is not necessarily the best way to live. The best way to live is to not have to do that. The best way to live is to pay cash for everything, right? How many of you are independently wealthy and can pay cash for everything? Probably none of us. But the reality is, when you owe someone else, you're their slave. Solomon reminds his sons that that is a position of lack, a position of unease, a position of difficulty, a position of slavery. And when you're in that position, you're not free to do what you would do because you have an obligation to do with others. I talk to people all the time that they're in a position in their job where they have no choice but to stay because it pays the bills and they can't find anything that would come close to covering their expenses. And when things change at work and it presses them into their moral standards, they struggle because I can't walk away. I've got to pay my bills and God wants me to take care of my family. And He does. He absolutely does. But do you realize that you put yourself in that position? That you are required to keep that job because of your slavery and your debt. It's not the job that's the problem. It's the debt that keeps you in that job that's the problem. I don't expect that you're going to go pay off your house today. But I do expect that you recognize that Solomon was correct. And working diligently to find ways to get out of debt is absolutely critical. And by the way, if you're looking for a way that works, check out Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University. It's one of the ways that works. It allows you to own your responsibility and take care of it. Anything that causes you to walk away from your responsibility and get it written off isn't really biblically the way to walk away, to get rid of your debt. So I'm just warning you of that. Own your responsibility. Like a gazelle escaping from a hunter's trap or a bird from a fowler's net. Get yourself out of that. Something to think about today. I love y'all. Hope you have a great day. God bless.